Money blocks is that feeling of not having enough. It's that scarcity feeling. It's that feeling that receiving abundance, whether that be financial, that be relationships and love or happiness, it's just really hard for you. The thing is, when we're constantly wanting more, it blinds us because we can never truly see how much we have and who we truly are. You have the power to stop these feelings, not only in yourself, but your children. Does it feel expansive or does it feel contracted? That's really what you need to ask yourself. And if your thoughts about money are feeling contracted, that is a sign that you have a money block. You have a scarcity mindset. By changing your money mindset and reversing those core intrinsic beliefs, we can truly transform your health. We're not just working on a physical level, and we're not just working on an emotional level. We're doing both at the same time. Before we dive in, I just want to note that money issues are real, right? There are people out there who are truly struggling with money. And if this is you, this episode is not meant to diminish your struggles at all, but it is meant to help you set up with a healthy mindset so that maybe those struggles don't feel as hard. And I also just want to mention that you might not automatically feel like you have a money block or a scarcity mindset, but I have a lot of women that come into my office, right? I specialize in women's health. I don't actually specialize in money mindset, but a big part of women's health is money mindset. And a lot of women come into my office, they come into my office with these chronic reproductive health conditions, and they're not coming in for money mindset shift, but what they realize is at the core of their chronic issue is a money mindset issue. So I just want to note that sometimes our core beliefs are hidden pretty deeply, and we'll get into that and what that looks like and feels like mentally, emotionally, and physically in your body. So just hang tight. Okay, to start off, what are money blocks and how do they typically show up in someone's life? So money blocks is that feeling of not having enough. It's that scarcity feeling. It's that feeling that receiving abundance, whether that be financial, that be relationships and love or happiness, is just really hard for you and it feels like it's a struggle. For some people, a money block or scarcity mindset can be that feeling that they can never get enough. I had a patient come to me the other day and she actually said to me that no matter how much money, she can't think of a number of how much money she'd have, that she would feel comfortable. And this is a patient that has seen a therapist, so she's aware of her money blocks. But a lot of us subconsciously feel like this and we don't even know it because we haven't really dived into it or explored it within ourselves. Money blocks can also show up on the flip side of that feeling that we never have enough, right? We have everything we need. We have food, we have a roof over our head, we have beautiful clothes to cover our body, we have friends, we have family, but we are always reaching for more, right? That need to always have the newest handbag, to have a bigger house, to have nicer furniture, to go on more lavish vacations. That is also a money block, this feeling that you can never be fulfilled. And the thing is, when we're constantly wanting more, it blinds us because we can never truly see how much we have and who we truly are. Now, in my practice, I found that a lot of women have a scarcity mindset, have these money blocks, this lack of abundance feeling, and don't even realize it because I think we get confused with practicality, right? Because money is a thing. It's a physical thing. We need to buy things to live our life. And then reality, right? So pairing that practicality with reality of what we really have. And sometimes it can be really hard to differentiate between being practical and having a scarcity mindset. And I think the best way to do this, the best way you can differentiate or decide if your mindset is off or if your wallet is off is this feeling coming from love or is it coming from fear? When you think about making a big purchase or planning a big expensive vacation or whatever it might be in your life that's costing you a lot of money and feels a little bit off, ask yourself, does this feel off because I'm scared, right? Because I'm scared that if I do this, that I won't have enough money? Or does this feel off because it's just not what I want to spend my money right now, right? It's not my priority. I have the physical money, but it's not where my heart is. Or maybe it's that you don't actually have the physical money for this big purchase right now. So then it's asking yourself, do I feel like I can never get enough? Like I will never achieve it? Or is it just I'm working towards it and now it's just not the right time, right? It's always checking in with your body and your mind. Like, are my thoughts and beliefs coming from a place of love, of feeling good? Like, does it feel good in my body when I talk about it? Or when I talk about it, does it make my body contract, right? Does it make my shoulders hunch over, my body to really come into a ball? Does it feel expansive or does it feel contracted? That's really what you need to ask yourself. And if your thoughts about money are feeling contracted, that is a sign that you have a money block, you have a scarcity mindset, and we need to start shifting it towards a mindset of abundance, which we'll get into how later. So where do money blocks and that scarcity mindset come from? And this is a really big question with a really big answer, which is that they can come from so many places, right? For some of us, it might be obvious. You grew up with less than those around you, right? You felt like your family was always struggling for money. Maybe you didn't have food on the table, or you didn't know where your food was coming from. Maybe one of your parents lost their job in childhood and there was this feeling of scared, of not knowing if they were going to get another job, not knowing if they were going to make enough money to support the family. Those are what I call obvious money blocks, right? Because we can pinpoint exactly where it happened, why it's there. And in a lot of ways, it makes sense, right? It makes sense that you have a money mindset block because you grew up with it. You were faced with it. This can also happen later in life. Maybe you had some really wonderful job and out of the blue, you lost it. That can create a feeling of scarcity, a feeling of not having enough, and a fear of where your money is going to come from, how you're going to support yourself. But then there's less obvious origins of money blocks, right? So money blocks can be epigenetic. They can be genetic, meaning passed down from our ancestors. So maybe you have ancestors that were in the Holocaust or the Great Depression or other wars where getting money or getting enough, meaning it doesn't need to be money, it can be food, it can be resources, it can be family and love and support, was really challenging for really practical reasons. Those feelings of scarcity and lack of abundance can be passed down through our epigenetics through generations. And until there's someone there who's willing to break that cycle, and maybe you're that person that's willing to break that cycle, these feelings of scarcity and not having enough will continue to pass down to generations. And that's the beautiful thing, is that you have the power to stop these feelings, not only in yourself, but your children. And even further than that, changing the vibration of scarcity to abundance within yourself will support everyone around you. It will support your family. It will support your friends. Your energy will vibrate to those around you. And then lastly, another way I feel that people come to this scarcity mindset, these money blocks, this feeling of not having enough, is through lack of confidence and just not feeling good about yourself. If you don't feel good about yourself, who you are and what you're putting out there in the world, you don't believe that you're worthy of receiving, right? You don't believe that you're worthy of receiving abundance, love, financial success, whatever it might be. If we don't feel good about ourselves, we're not going to feel good about receiving things. And this can often show up in people as people pleasing, right? We're always trying to please other people and neglecting ourselves. It can show up as people who give a lot, right? Those givers, those usually are people pleasers, people that are always giving away their energy. Maybe they're always giving away their money, whatever it might be, they're constantly giving away, which is a really wonderful thing, right? There's nothing wrong with giving. There's nothing wrong with supporting others. I do it for a living. I do it for a career. I'm a mother. I constantly support people. That is okay. It's okay to support people. It's great to support people and it's great to help others. But it's doing it from a place of love and making sure you're also supporting yourself. And that's what the difference is. But when we have this tendency towards people pleasing and constantly giving away our energy, it's usually because we don't feel worthy of receiving and worthy of nurturing ourselves, our body, and our own energy. And those feelings of low self-esteem, lack of confidence, and not feeling worthy will translate eventually to money blocks and not feeling worthy enough to receive. So money blocks can stem from those early childhood experiences where we didn't feel like we had enough, or there was a lack of sense of security. We didn't know where our meal was coming from. We didn't know where our clothes were coming from. We didn't know if we'd be able to afford the books at school, whatever it might be. Money blocks can also come from epigenetics and genetics. It can be traits passed down to us from our ancestors. And it can stem from a feeling of being afraid to be seen, a feeling that you need to stay small. And this can come from childhood experiences where maybe you weren't allowed to express your emotions. Maybe you were taught either directly or indirectly that it was not safe for you to feel your feelings. It was not safe for you to have big expressions, to feel big, right? Those subconscious beliefs can make us feel like we have to feel small. If you grew up in a household where tantrums were not accepted, you were not allowed to yell and scream, you were not allowed to cry, that can leave you with a feeling that you need to stay small. If you grew up in a family with narcissistic parents, that can give you a feeling that you need to stay small because you were constantly taught that you were meant to be small. You were constantly taught that your feelings don't matter, that what you want doesn't matter, and essentially that you don't matter. If you grew up in a home where your parents weren't able to be present, maybe there was an alcoholic in the family, or maybe your parents had to work multiple jobs and just weren't around, and you didn't have that support or security, that can make it seem like you need to stay small, right? Because there's no one to turn to ask for help. There's no one around to hear your feelings or to care about how you feel. So you just hide everything away. And all those scenarios can lead to us feeling like we need to be small, like we're not allowed to be seen and heard. And I think a lot of people understand that we have this block of being seen and being heard, right? That feeling that you're afraid to be seen, to speak your truth, to share your emotions with people, afraid of how people will react to it. But often we don't tie those feelings back with money blocks, and they are very, very closely related to money blocks and feelings of abundance. Because if we don't allow our body and our energy to be big, we're not going to allow ourselves to receive that big energy. And that big energy can come in the form of financial abundance. It can come in the form of abundance of happiness and joy. On a deeper level, those feelings of lack of scarcity, lack of abundance, like you just can't make enough, come back to this feeling of disconnection from ourselves and those around us, right? It comes back to this bigger feeling that there's just not enough in the world. This feeling that we don't have enough within ourselves, right? We don't have enough within ourselves, and we always need to get something from the outside world. And then there's this disconnection from the world and community where we feel like we're not going to be supported, right? That there's not enough to go around and enough to share and people out there supporting us. Not to get too esoteric, but on the deepest level, we are all connected and we are all meant to be connected. And we're meant to be connected deeply to ourselves and to feel safe and secure in ourselves and like we have everything we need in ourselves, but that we can freely go out there in the world and receive love and joy and positive relationships from other people because we're all connected. We are all one. But when there is some disconnection anywhere in your timeline, either from the people around you, from your community and your family, or from yourselves, that can create this feeling of lack, this feeling of scarcity, and ultimately create money blocks. Now let's get into the juicy part, which is how money blocks can show up in our body and affect our physical health. But before I go into how money blocks and our money mindset is affecting our health, I actually want to flip it and talk about quickly how our physical health is affecting our mindset and how our physical health may also be contributing to our money mindset. And I do think it's a little bit of a catch-22, and I think you'll understand that as we go along. But I really love this aspect of it. And I felt this in myself and in my body too, which I'll dive into also. So one of the main currencies in our body for our health to support a healthy functioning of our organs and our bodies and our tissues and our cells is our blood. Blood is one of the main currencies of exchange in our body. Blood transports nutrients, oxygen, and hormones to every organ, cell, and tissue in our body. Blood keeps us warm, it helps regulate our body temperature, and it moistens our hair, skin, and nails. Blood is obviously a vital part of a healthy menstrual cycle, reproductive system, and to support a healthy pregnancy. Our bodies cannot survive without blood. Blood has so many functionings to it. Kind of the same way in modern society that we cannot survive without money. So when our body is depleted of resources, mainly depleted of blood, we have this feeling that we can't get enough, right? We can't get enough blood. We don't have enough nourishment for our body. And that translates to our mental state as well. This feeling of not being able to get enough. This feeling of needing to be small, not able to allow our energy to grow because we don't have enough. We don't have enough blood to support our energy. So when our physical body is lacking that currency of blood, our mental state will go to a mindset of feeling a lack of money, a scarcity mindset, a lack of abundance. Now, in Western medicine, not having enough blood in the body would show up as anemia, right? But you can have a lack of blood in the body from a Chinese medicine perspective and not be anemic. Blood tests can only show us so much, but our body can tell us so much more. So some signs and symptoms that you're lacking blood in your body and you need to build blood to support the healthy functioning of your body, but also a healthy mindset, and especially towards money, is that you have dry skin, hair, or nails, right? Blood moistens our body. And without that moisture, our body dries out. If you're constantly feeling cold all the time, that's a sign you need to build blood, as blood warms our body. If you have hair that's falling out, brittle nails that are constantly breaking, that's another sign that you need to build blood, because blood supports the growth of our hair. And this is really obvious in pregnancy when our blood volume doubles. Your hair thickens, it grows, it doesn't fall out. And then after you give birth, you start balding. Essentially, your hair falls out everywhere. That's because you had a lot of blood and then you lost all that blood during childbirth. Poor circulation is another sign that you need to build blood in the body. Maybe your hands and feet are constantly cold, or you have numbness and tingling that comes and goes. Those are signs of poor circulation. And that's just that there's not enough blood volume to get everywhere in your body effectively. Fatigue is a really big prevalent sign of needing to build blood, as blood supports the creation of chi in our body, of energy, of being able to feel good. And then also most reproductive issues at some point come back to needing to build blood in the body. So things like PMD, irregular periods, amenorrhea for sure is a sign that you need to build blood in your body if you're not getting your period. If you have really light periods, so maybe you only bleed 1 to 3 days and it's really light and spotty. Sometimes if you have spotting between periods, that is a sign that you need to build blood. Your body doesn't have the energy to keep the blood within your uterus for as long as it's meant to. Endometriosis, painful periods, those are all signs that you need to build blood in the body. PCOS is another big sign that you need to build blood in the body. PCOS, there is usually an element of dampness to it also. I'm not going to get into that today in this podcast because we're not talking about PCOS, but usually there is a genetic aspect and a genetic aspect of needing to strengthen your spleen and your pancreas, your digestive system. And then lastly, feeling angry is a sign that you need to build blood in your body, right? And for some of us, it's like this underlying feeling of anger. I feel like I've had that most of my life. Like anger is my go-to emotion. I don't always express it, right? I can control my emotions or feel them safely, but anger is always that go-to emotion for me. And that cuts deeper. Anger will always stem from somewhere. But in Chinese medicine, anger is the emotion that's related to our liver. Our liver is the organ in our body that stores blood. It's also the organ that helps circulate blood to the rest of our body. When we don't have enough blood, our liver will contract in order to conserve the blood that we do have. And that contraction of our liver can cause us to feel angry. It can cause outbursts of anger. It can cause this always underlying feeling of feeling angry. And you might not even know why. Those are all things that are related to needing to build blood in your body. And if you feel like you have some of these signs and symptoms and you also have a negative money mindset, that is absolutely related. Because again, when we lack that currency in our body, we lack that currency in our mindset and in our lives. Okay, so we talked about how our physical health affects our mindset, but now let's talk about how our mindset affects our physical health. Now, in order to understand this and to talk about it, first we have to understand that there are deep hidden core beliefs when it comes to money mindset, right? That feeling of lack or not being able to get or receive enough or never having enough is not necessarily just not feeling like you have enough money. It's usually something deeper. And those deeper hidden core beliefs are typically that I'm not worthy of receiving enough, that I'm not good enough, that I am not safe to be seen or feel heard. And then for some of us, it can come to a deeper feeling of disconnection, of a lack of safety and security. And a lack of safety and security, again, can come from a lot of places. It can come from not having enough money growing up or having a traumatic event involving money. But it can also come from other events that have nothing to do with money. A lack of safety and security can come from a lot of traumas in our life. It can come from physical or sexual abuse. It can come from not having a caregiver that was there to support us, right? Being that parentified child who always took care of everyone around you, but no one took care of you. A lack of safety or security, again, can be genetic or epigenetic. Maybe there was a tragic event in your family that passed down this lineage of not feeling safe and secure. And until someone comes along and breaks that cycle, it is going to continue. A lack of safety and security can also go back to your childbirth, right? To how you came into this world. And if there was something in that process that didn't feel safe to you, that can show up as an intrinsic feeling of not feeling safe and secure. And of course, when we don't feel safe and secure, we're going to constantly feel this intrinsic feeling of we don't have enough, or wondering if we're going to have enough, right? Like, is our paycheck going to come? What's going to happen? All those feelings of insecurity around money, scarcity, and abundance. So in Chinese medicine, we have different layers of qi, of energy in our body. So just to go through them quickly, I'm going to go through the three main ones, but the surface level one is Wei Qi, and that is the energy that circulates throughout our muscles, our joints, and the soft tissues in our body, our bladder and our uterus being soft tissues in the body. The Wei Qi controls our immune system. It controls our automatic actions, right? So if you were to touch a hot pan and your hand moves away, that's Wei Qi in action. Your mind hasn't had a chance to register that your hand needs to move, but your body has. That's Wei Qi. It's Wei Qi that keeps us healthy. It's Wei Qi that keeps our muscles healthy and our joints healthy. On an emotional level, Wei Qi affects our mood, right? So when we're in a bad mood, that affects our Wei Qi. Typically, money blocks are not really on the Wei Qi level. They're not on the surface level. Yes, they can penetrate to the Wei Qi level, right? If you feel like you don't have enough in the moment, that can show up on the Wei Qi level and can affect your immune system. It can affect your muscular health, but typically that's not where these emotions sit. Then the second level, the second deepest level in our body is our blood level. It's also called our yin level, YNG. Our blood level is also considered our nutritive level because our blood carries nutrients to our body. From a psychological standpoint, our blood holds our emotions. So all our emotions sit at our blood level. And so in some ways, yes, our money blocks and our money mindset can sit in our emotions, right? So it's like those feelings and beliefs are drawing up emotions. But those feelings and those beliefs go much deeper. And that brings us to the deepest level of qi, of energy in our body, which is our yuan qi, Y-U-A-N. Now, yuan qi is our DNA level. It is our cellular level. It's our constitutional level. It's that like deepest, corest level of energy of who you are and what you are, and all of your past experiences are imprinted into this yuan level. And it's at this yuan level that we are born into this world with a blueprint of life, who we are meant to be, what we are meant to do. But it's also at this yuan level where it imprints our experience of life. So all the experiences that you have experienced up to today have imprinted into your energy, into your body, on the energetic level of our yuan level, our constitutional qi. And it's in this level, this constitutional qi, that our core beliefs are imprinted. And for the most part, money mindset blocks go back to those deep core beliefs of, again, not feeling enough, not feeling worthy, not feeling like you're safe to be seen or heard, or not feeling safe and secure at a really deep intrinsic level. And sometimes some of us know we have these beliefs, right? Maybe you've done the work, maybe you see healers, you see a therapist, or maybe you're just really in tune with your body and your feelings. But a lot of times we don't even know these feelings are going on, right? For a long time, probably most of my life, I've had this feeling of not being safe to be seen or be heard. Right. So creating this podcast is almost a healing process for me, right? Allowing myself to be seen and to be heard. But I've honestly always felt like a confident person. I never thought I didn't feel safe to be seen or be heard. I grew up doing theater and dancing and acting. So like the fact that my core belief is that I'm not worthy and I'm not safe to be seen and heard sounded ridiculous. But when I started to do more healing work and peeling back different layers of my mindset and my physical and mental energy, I realized that at the core, I do have this belief that I'm not safe to be seen and to be heard, and that maybe I'm not worthy of good things happening for me, right? And that's things that I've worked on and I've worked through so that I can be here talking to you today. But I'm telling you just this just to show that we don't always know in our conscious mind or at the front of our conscious mind that these deep core beliefs are going on. I had a patient that came to me for reproductive health issues, but she also had severe anxiety. And the severe underlying anxiety went back to this feeling of not feeling safe and secure, right? Feeling like something bad was always going to happen. And through the healing work, when we dug into it, we found that it was from an early childhood experience of a death in the family, right? That passed on trait of those epigenetics of someone dying early in the family. And anxiety is typically or a lot of the times related to not feeling safe and secure because you're always afraid that something bad is going to happen, right? Anxiety comes from always thinking about the future and thinking something bad is going to happen, or from thinking about past experiences and allowing that to affect your current state of, again, not feeling safe and secure and happy where you're at. So when these core experiences and core thoughts and beliefs get imprinted into our energetics, into our constitutional level energetics, our body will hold them there and they will store them there, and they will store these core beliefs as long as you keep believing them. But here's the catch. It takes a lot of resources for your body to store these beliefs. And in Chinese medicine, we call these negative emotions or these negative beliefs pathogens. The same way we would consider any virus or illness that comes at us, we consider emotions, thoughts, and beliefs pathogens. So our body needs to store these pathogens. And in order to do that, it needs a lot of resources. And resources in Chinese medicine are blood, which we talked about, and that really is the big one. There's also yin, qi, yin and yang, and thin and thick fluids in the body. Our bodies can hold in these pathogens, these negative thoughts and core beliefs forever, as long as it has enough resources, right? But these thoughts and holding these traumas in our body are depleting our body of resources, and one of the main ones being blood. And the longer that we hold these traumas in our body, we hold these core beliefs in our body, and we don't change our mindset, and we don't change that mindset's connection to our energy, it will continue to deplete our body of resources such as blood. As our body is depleted of resources such as blood, and I'm just going to talk about blood here because I really think that is a big and important one related to money mindset. As our blood is depleted, we will start to show signs and symptoms of lack of blood depletion. So like I mentioned earlier, things like dry skin, hair and nails, brittle nails and hair falling out, reproductive health issues. Most chronic reproductive health issues go back to needing to build blood in the body, which can come down to your body being depleted of blood by holding these traumas and core beliefs in our body. And over time, as our blood is depleted, we have these chronic reproductive health issues. We have these symptoms such as painful periods, heavy periods, not getting your periods, painful ovulation, bloating, gas, you name it. Over time, those symptoms will progress, right? Because if we're not changing or shifting anything, we usually don't just get better on our own. Things get worse. So as we deplete our blood, we then deplete thin fluids in our body, our hydration in our body. And then we deplete the yin in our body, the yin that supports our joints to stay healthy, right? Maybe you start to get creaky joints. Maybe you start to get arthritis. It supports our sleep, our ability to ground ourselves. So maybe you have really bad insomnia. And as our resources are broken down and used up from holding these core beliefs and these traumas in our body over time, it will just escalate to more severe conditions such as PCOS, cysts, cancers, and tumors in the bodies, all chronic and degenerative illnesses and disease, to put it simply. Now, a really common question that everyone wants to know is there a certain area of our body that we tend to store these mindsets or beliefs surrounding money blocks, right? What specific area of our body are these money blocks affecting? And for women, we tend to store this scarcity mindset, these money blocks, in our reproductive organs, right? So our whole pelvis is this big basin where we can store emotions for a long time. We store our emotions and pathogens in joints and cavities in our bodies, and our pelvis has a lot of room for that. So the scarcity mindset can sometimes first show up into our body as achy joints, as our joints start to wear down from lack of blood and supportive resources in the body. And then often I see it show up in reproductive health issues. And then often I see it show up in reproductive health issues, not just because of the location, but because blood is such a vital part of our reproductive system, of our menstrual cycle, of holding and supporting a pregnancy. And as our body is depleted of blood from storing these mindsets and constantly reliving this mindset, it will affect our reproductive organs and our menstrual cycle that rely on blood to support it. I'm a big fan of Louise Hayes, and she will note financial and money issues going back to what she calls your second emotional center or your second chakra. So your second chakra has to do with love, joy, and feeling secure in money, according to Louise Hayes and some other sources. which I do agree with, right? That holds our reproductive health and our reproductive organs. It also holds our lower back. A lot of times women will have lower back pain when it comes to money mindset. And that goes back to that feeling of not feeling grounded and not feeling secure. Our hips are another big area that we store this money mindset, this financial mindset, lack of abundance, because our hips are along a pathway in our body that has to do with controlling the volume of blood in our body. Now, Louise Hayes also notes the first emotional center of our body, our root chakra, our first chakra, which starts at our perineum between our legs, and it really envelopes that very lower part of your body around the base of your spine. She says the root chakra, or the first emotional center, is related to security and to blood, right? And I agree with that. And I feel like that sense of blood and security in the first chakra affects our healthiness in our second chakra, affecting our money mindset. So from a chakral system, if we want to talk about the chakras, our first and second chakra are really the areas of our body that are initially affected by money's mindset. And I say initially because over time, as we allow this to progress, it can spread to other parts of our body. Now, I just want to talk a little bit deeper, a little bit more on how a feeling of not feeling worthy and not feeling good enough can affect your money mindset, but your physical body, right? So we've talked about how that feeling of not feeling worthy and not feeling good enough affects our money mindset, not feeling worthy to receive abundance, to receive money. But let's talk about how that affects our physical body also. So in Chinese medicine, these deep-rooted core beliefs of not feeling good enough, they link to a channel in our body that sits in our constitutional level, our constitutional qi, our yuan qi, called yin chao mai. Now, yin chao mai has to do with feeling good about yourself, being able to see yourself as beautiful, seeing yourself as who you are and who you're meant to be. Now, when we don't feel that way, our body will start to turn in, right? And we can see this in our posture, being hunched over, not sitting up or standing up straight. In our legs, we can see this as our knees or our ankles or our feet turning in, because this channel runs from the base of our feet up all the way inside our inner legs and all the way up to the point of our eyes, right? So it affects our actual structure and our actual posture. On some level, I think of yin chao mai as a contracted channel, right? We're not feeling good. We're contracting our energy. We're contracting our physical body. And when we do this, we contract our ability to fully digest food, to fully digest life. And when that happens, it creates a sense of mucus in our body as our body is trying to slow down, right? When we don't feel good about ourselves, we start to feel tired. That is your body slowing down. That's your body responding to how you feel emotionally. And as our body slows down and it creates this mucus in our body to slow us down, that can develop as things such as cysts, such as tumors, such as fibroids in the body. Often I find that when women have this feeling of not feeling good about themselves, I see them show up with those presentations. Not always. I don't have those presentations and I have felt that way about myself, but a lot of the times. But also what it does is it contracts our body's ability to make blood, right? This formation of mucus in the body, of deposits of yin, of thick fluids in the body, make it hard for our body to create blood. And that can show up as blood deficient signs and symptoms like we talked about earlier. And it can show up as anemia, which you'll see in Western medicine. And I feel like I can't leave out these two other channels of also going into more detail that are related to our money mindset and how they affect our physical bodies. So I'll go through them quickly. So just to go through them quickly, one of the core channels that relates to early childhood trauma is Qigong. It's the sea of blood in our body. It's a channel that allows our body to produce yang energy, to give us energy, to produce that yang energy to our spleen and pancreas to support our digestive system. So if you've had poor digestive issues or issues since you were a child, that is often related to the channel of Qigong. Then it allows that energy, that yang qi from our spleen to go up to our lungs. So again, if you have issues, lung issues such as asthma, wheezing, chronic allergies, those can also a lot of the times be related to Qigong issues, the sea of blood. And when the sea of blood is impacted, it impacts our ability to create and support and move blood in the body. And this inability for us to create blood and to move blood in the body can show up, as we discussed before, as a money block and a money mindset. So it goes a little bit back to a catch-22 of mindset inhibiting our ability to form blood and our inability to form blood affecting our mindset. And one more channel I want to talk about, there are other channels that imprint these core beliefs and our money mindset, but these are really the three main ones that I see show up in my practice. And this is Yin Wei Mai. Yin Wei Mai is the linking vessel. It links all our past experiences. So Yin Wei Mai is the channel that records all your past experiences up into today in your energetic body on a constitutional level, on a really deep level. And so when that channel is impacted by traumas, big or small, right? It can be someone laughing at you in class and you intrinsically taking that energy on and then allowing yourself to stay with that energy and allowing that to affect you moving forward and in the present moment. So any traumas, big or small, are imprinted onto Yin Wei Mai. And Yin Wei Mai, it passes, again, through our stomach, our spleen, our digestive organs to allow us to assimilate the food that we eat and to build blood. It also passes our liver, which allows us to store and move blood throughout our body. So Yin Wei Mai, the linking vessel, is another channel that I often see impacted when it comes to money mindset and beliefs. And when Yin Wei Mai is out of balance, it can show up as anxiety a lot of the times, right? Allowing those past beliefs and fears to affect you in the present moment. It can show up as a lack of resources, a depletion of blood, like we mentioned before, most women's health issues, feeling cold, dry hair, skin, and nails, hair falling out, fatigue, things like that. Yin Wei Mai is essentially this feeling of always being connected to the past, allowing your past to affect you in the present moment. Maybe it's past regrets, maybe it's past experiences, whatever it might be, but it's your past experiences affecting your mindset today and affecting your physical health today. So that's how money blocks affect our physical body. But I think it's important to understand why they affect our physical body, right? So when we have thoughts, beliefs, or emotions that are too big for us to handle in that moment, our body will store them. And that's what we talked about, where our body stores these emotions. But our body stores them to protect us so that anything that's too much for us doesn't go directly to our organs and be fatal or life-threatening. So that anytime you feel an emotion that's too big, it's not a heart attack. So that anytime that you feel like you couldn't get enough, that you didn't receive enough support, that you didn't feel like you have anyone you could rely on to support you, that again, that's not catastrophic in your body. Our body stores these emotions to support us. So any signs or symptoms that you feel going on in your body, just remember that that's your body supporting you. Your body is not trying to hurt you. Your body is always trying to work for you. Now, this whole conversation may bring up the question for you, how can someone differentiate between an emotional money block, right, a mindset block, and a physical money block, meaning not having enough resources, not having enough blood currency in your body to support your mind? And the answer is they're kind of interchangeable, right? So when I work with patients with relieving these money blocks, I'm working on the energetic level and the physical level because it's really interchangeable. And at that point, we're really talking about what came first, the chicken or the egg. To me, I believe our mindset usually comes first. I mean, it always comes first, right? Whether it's epigenetic mindset that we're born with or it happens over time. We come into this world as a perfect being or meaning to be a perfect being. And then over time, things and experiences happen to us that are meant to happen to us. That affect how we see the world and then affect our physical body. That being said, I have noticed that there's times in my life where I am depleted of blood, where I'm not taking as good care of my body. I'm not eating as well as I should be. Maybe I'm working too hard, exercising too hard, not sleeping well enough. And at those times, I do feel financial fears start to creep up. Now, financial fears and money mindset is something I've dealt with in my life on a bigger scale, but it's not something that sits with me today. So when I start to feel it creeping up, I know that there's something off, right? There's something that is blocking me either in my physical body or my mind, or from my perspective, both. But it's really interesting once you have this information and you understand what's going on, how you can actually see it show up in your body and notice it. So we've talked about what are money blocks, how they show up in our physical body and how our physical body affects our mindset around money. But let's get down to the really important part, which is how to heal these money mindset blocks. How to heal this feeling of scarcity and turn it to a feeling of abundance. Now, first, if you're not sure if you have a money block still, take a minute to close your eyes, put one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, take a few deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth, and allow your body to settle in for a minute. keeping your eyes closed, just think about money for a second, or think about a recent purchase or a purchase that you want to make. Think about your paycheck, something in your life surrounding money. And just notice how that makes your body feel, right? What sensations are you feeling? Do those thoughts make you feel contracted, or do they make you feel expansive? And that is going to tell you whether you have a money mindset block. If those thoughts around money make you feel contracted, that means you have a definite mindset block, money mindset block. If they make you feel expansive, that means you're open to the world and more abundance. Now, here's the really awesome thing. By changing your money mindset and reversing those core intrinsic beliefs that are sitting in your constitutional energetic level, we can truly transform your health. And that is what I truly love about Chinese medicine. That's what I love about this medicine, is that we're not just working on a physical level and we're not just working on an emotional level. We're doing both at the same time. So I'm going to share with you the steps that I do in my practice, in my framework that I take my patients through on one-to-one scale in order to shift their money mindsets and to shift their health. And you can start doing this on your own at home. So first we want to discover what is the block, right? So we know the block is money. There's a sense of feeling scarcity, of not feeling enough. But what is that underlying core belief, right? So let's tie this back to our health for a minute. What health symptoms are going on in your body? And what was going on in your life around that time, right? So maybe you have really painful periods. When did that start? What was going on in your life around that time? Or maybe a year or two ahead, because things that affect your body in the past can take time to affect ourselves in the present, to really see and experience the symptoms, right? So if we have blood depletion that started a year ago, it might show up as painful periods today. Or maybe you don't have physical symptoms. Just notice, when in your life did these core beliefs, this money mindset, this feeling of lack start to show up? Maybe you didn't always have it. Maybe it just started to show up at a certain period of your life. And what was going on in your life around that period? Were there changes in diet? Were there changes in your lifestyle? Maybe a new job, a new relationship, maybe you broke up, maybe there was a health scare. Just think about what was going on in your life around that time. And then step 2, we want to look into what were our core beliefs around that time that those physical ailments or that mental mindset state started. And sometimes this can be hard to uncover, so I recommend taking out a journal and just writing down what was going on in your life and how did you feel. Sometimes those core beliefs can be hidden, but from this episode, we do have a little bit of a cheat sheet that these feelings are likely based around not feeling good about ourselves, not feeling worthy, or not feeling supported and secure and safe. So tap into which of those core beliefs feels true to you. So sometimes these core beliefs can be really tricky and hard to discover because they might have been going on for a long time and they've started to run in our subconscious level where we don't even know what's going on, right? So take out a journal how you felt around that time when either that your mindset shifted or your health shifted and what was going on. And just notice if there's any patterns that show up that have showed up at other parts in your life. And those will help identify those core beliefs. And we have a little bit of a cheat sheet coming back to those core beliefs, right? We know that it likely comes down to not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, or not feeling safe and secure or feeling supported. And step 3, we want to rewrite our limiting beliefs. So take that limiting core belief and just flip it. So if your core belief is I'm not worthy, then we want to flip that to I am worthy. I am enough. I was born into this world perfect and I am perfect just as I am. And this rewritten belief is something we want to carry with us every day. So say it to yourself when you wake up in the morning. Say it to yourself before you go to bed. And as you do it, really feel that energy, right? Don't just say it to yourself mindfully. Feel that energy. Notice how it feels to feel good about yourself, to feel safe, to feel supported, to feel worthy. And then the 4th step is we want to energetically rewire this belief. So this belief is not just sitting in our mindset, it's sitting in our deep core energetic body. And we need to rewire and rebalance that energy in our body. Now, in my practice, I do this using the channels of classical acupuncture and Chinese medicine, which, just to note, if you're new to my podcast or you're new to me, is not TCM. TCM is traditional Chinese medicine, but it's actually not traditional at all. TCM is acupuncture that was created in the 1950s. It's modernized acupuncture. And in doing so, they took out all these intrinsic core level, constitutional level acupuncture channels that can really change your constitutional energy, your DNA, and affect you at a cellular level. And those are the channels and the energy that we want to be working with when it comes to money mindset. So it's these acupuncture channels that I work with one-on-one in my private practice, ways you can do it at home or start to do it at home. It's just notice where you feel that energy in your body, right? So close your eyes, put a hand on your heart, hand on your belly, or your hands on your lap, whatever feels good. And say to yourself the limiting belief, right? The belief that doesn't feel good. Maybe say to yourself, I'm not worthy. Notice where you feel that in your physical body, right? Where is that showing up for you? And as you do that, first allow yourself to feel it, right? We don't want to just first push away these feelings. We want ourselves to get comfortable feeling uncomfortable, but then you want to use your breath or use your energy to move that energy out, right? Feel it dissipating, feel it softening, feel it disappearing, right? Use your energy to move that energy. And I just want to note the energetic part of this is vitally important, right? You can rewire your mindset, but if you're not rewiring your energetic body, one, you're always going to constantly be coming back to that mindset, but it also might not shift your health, right? We can tell ourselves things over and over again. That doesn't necessarily mean that it intrinsically sits into us at a deep level. That doesn't mean it gets into us where we need it to. So after you've done all the energetic and mindset work, that takes us to step 5, which is diet, right? Diet and nourishing your body are really important because we need to build enough blood, enough resources, enough currency in our body to feel worthy of gaining enough currency from the outside world. So you want to focus on a diet of blood-building foods. And, there's a long list of blood-building foods, and you can email me or DM me if you want it, but the main ones are red meat. So good quality, grass-fed, organic red meat, if possible. Cooked leafy greens, it's really important to eat our food cooked and warmed so that our body can properly digest and assimilate the nutrients of what we're eating. Red foods are really wonderful at building blood. So beets, raspberries. I like to take a thing of frozen raspberries and cook it almost into like a soup and just eat that. That's really wonderful for building blood. Bone broth, saturated fats are adjacently good for building blood, for building yin in the body, which support the creation of blood. Some other foods are eggs, lentils, beans, especially black and red lentils and beans. Those are really supportive for building blood in the body. And then step 6 is taking a look at your lifestyle. It's really important in terms of lifestyle to balance your yin and yang. So if you're not familiar with yin and yang, yin is rest. It is meditation. It's restoration. It's nighttime. It's cooling. And yang is heat. It's energy. It's social events, it's work, it's everything that's not resting, right? Most of us live in a world where we're doing a lot of yang activities and not enough yin activities. So it's really important that you're balancing those activities of work, of excitement, of social engagement, whatever it might be, of exercise, with adequate rest. When we do too much yang and we don't have enough yin to support that, it depletes our body of resources such as blood. And lastly, incorporating mindset, mindfulness, and daily practices in your life that remind you of where you want to be, right? So one of them is saying to yourself, repeating that rewired belief, for example, I am worthy. That's one thing that everyone can do every day. But then also finding throughout your day little things that bring you joy, that make you happy, that put you into this feeling of abundance, right? We attract the energy we put out there in the world. So we want to feel the energy of abundance. And maybe you're not a millionaire today, right? And maybe financial abundance isn't something you have in your back pocket, but there are ways you can start to feel it even with the smallest amount of money. Maybe splurging on a coffee once a week that you wouldn't normally get. Maybe just walking around a store that you'd like to shop in, but you can't afford, but feeling into that energy like you can afford it, right? It's learning to put your mindset and your energy into feeling how you want to feel in the future, feeling it now. And those are the 7 steps that I take my patients through in my framework within my practice. And they are so effective. I cannot say this enough because I've seen total transformations. I've seen money mindset transformations. I've seen physical transformations connected to that. And it's honestly a miracle what can happen when we change our physical energy, we change our diet, and we change our mind. So as we're heading into the holidays and we're heading into the new year, Let's all take this time to start changing our mind from that of scarcity to that of abundance. Knowing that there is so much out there in the world, that there is enough for everyone and there is more than enough for you. And that if you are open to it physically, emotionally, and energetically, you will receive everything that your heart's desires and more. If you're really struggling and you feel like you need support either with your mindset or your physical health, or most likely both, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to support those who need it. And I wish everyone this holiday season and this new year a holiday and a life filled with abundance, joy, and happiness.